Cruise news time. Well, certainly the big news that we celebrated yesterday was the CDC working with cruise lines to get cruising restarted in the U.S. by mid-July. But that wasn't the only thing that was going on in the country yesterday. Two separate legislatures dealing with cruise things, people advocating for cruising to restart, and some had success and some didn't. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Lido Loca. I'm your host Tony, here with the latest cruise news updates. Well, happy Friday. Happy April the 30th. We made it through the month of April, and this month will go down as a significant month in the restart of cruising globally. We saw so much movement going on around the globe, especially in the UK, and we've had some ups and downs when it comes to the US cruise restart. So yeah, it's, didn't know what April held when we started the month, but now that we've got to the end of the month, we're definitely at a better place when it comes to the restart of cruising in the US. And the fight continues. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the fight for cruising in Alaska, and we're going to talk about the fight over cruising in Key West. And I know you said, Tony, I thought that thing was dead. Well, but wait, there's more. Now, before we get to the cruise news, I got to answer some burning questions. First of all, thank you guys so much. My mom is doing well. She is on the mend. And yes, thanks for all the well wishes. Thanks for all the thoughts and prayers. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. She's still mending up. And that process continues. The dog is a full Chihuahua. The vet said that the dog's a full Chihuahua. He's a big Chihuahua. The vet said he must be from Texas. I guess that's veterinarian humor for all you folks from Texas. How about that? And then let me say this. This is not a jar of pickled eggs. These are tangerines in an animal cracker container. I think it's for ripeness. There you go, mystery solved. The update here from Lido Loca headquarters, and it's a family affair, right? That's what we're talking about here. So let me take a moment to invite you to be a part of our virtual family, this virtual cruising community. You can do that by subscribing to this YouTube channel with the notification bell on. It doesn't cost anything, and the benefit to you is that every time I upload a video, well, you should get notified by email and on your phone. And so there you go. Plus, it helps us out. So please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out. All right, let's talk about what's going on with Alaska cruising. So one of the big ramifications of this idea that the CDC is relaxing the 2A protocols is that there still could be a 2021 Alaska season. Now, unfortunately for Alaska, the CDC is not the only hindrance to their ability to cruise. Another thing that is a hindrance to their ability to cruise is a law that was enacted in the late 1800s called the Passenger Vessel Services Act. The Passenger Vessel Services Act is an interesting act. What it boils down to is that if you're a foreign flagged vessel that carries passengers, you can't just take passengers between U.S. ports. This would disadvantage any U.S.-based ferry service, for example. Like, let's say that you've got a ferry that goes from Tampa to Miami. Well, you could have a foreign company come in and undercut that, and that might disadvantage an American company. And so to keep American companies at the forefront of that kind of activity, the Passenger Vessel Services Act say that any foreign flagged vessel that wants to ferry passengers from one place to another, if they're going to do that from the United States, they have to go to a foreign country before they can finish their trip. You don't want a foreign company coming in and undercutting an American business. That's the economics behind the Passenger Vessel Services Act. But it makes cruising to Alaska very challenging, because if you have a cruise ship that leaves Seattle and the next stop is up there in Alaska, well, that's U.S. to U.S. cruising, and foreign ships can't do that without a stop. And normally they stop in Canada, but there's a cruise ban in Canada until February of 2022. Canada not even allowing cruise ships in their waters. And so now, beyond the restrictions of the CDC, cruising to Alaska, tourism in Alaska is in a quandary because of the Passenger Vessel Services Act. Now, Senator Murkowski from Alaska has been working to get a waiver to the Passenger Vessel Services Act. He's brought about a bipartisan effort to get this waiver passed. This bipartisan effort includes Senators Blumenthal and Cantwell, the two senators that were against cruising. She got all that going on. She got a compromise. And so in the Senate yesterday, she offered an amendment to a bill the Alaska Tourism Recovery Act that could be fast-tracked, that would give Alaska a waiver to the Passenger Vessel Services Act. She brought it forth and it was quickly shot down. One senator able to put the kibosh on the whole thing, to put a stop on this waiver, and it was Senator Mike Lee from Utah. Now, Senator Mike Lee from Utah is a Republican, and while he is favorable for this waiver for the Passenger Vessel Services Act, he even said he would like to see the whole Passenger Vessel Services Act go away. He did not like the bill that it was attached to. Legislation is complicated in the United States. It gets real tricky. You can get a bill through the normal way, right? Where you go through committee, and then it goes to the broader floor, and then it would get voted on by the Senate, and then that would get passed to the House, and if it passed in the House, then the president would sign it. You know, the I'm just a bill, you remember the Schoolhouse Rock? That's how it works. Or you can do some other stuff by taking a bill that looks like it may get through that process easier and attach your amendment to it. And that's what Senator Murkowski was trying to do, to fast track, to really open the door for tourism in Alaska on the heels of what was going on with the CDC. So it was a strong play, a bipartisan play. Senator Mike Lee, Republican from Utah, he didn't like the bill that it was attached to, and he shut it down. Now, that doesn't mean that Senator Murkowski's bill is dead. It just means it will have to go through a more lengthy process to get to the point where they can get the waiver for the Passenger Vessel Services Act. So I would assume that Senator Murkowski, along with the bipartisan support, will try to get this thing going again. So certainly that's disappointing for people wanting to cruise from Alaska, but something very similar happened in the state legislature down in Florida. Again, U.S. politics is complicated. You got federal politics, you got state politics, you got local politics. There is a Congress that is the federal Congress, and then there's also a Congress that's the state Congress. So the state Congress in Florida got the senators, you got the House of Representatives, and so we know what's been going on with Key West. Key West on Election Day in November voted to limit cruise ships coming to Key West. And by limit, I say they basically knocked out all big cruise ships, limiting cruise ships by size, limiting how many passengers could come into Key West each day, allowing for Key West to even choose which cruise ships they would allow in and out based on environmental records. That was all passed, voted on by the people in Key West. They decided they wanted this Key West cruise ban in place. So as the legislative session started in Florida this year, Senator Jim Boyd brought forth a bill that would overturn the vote of the people in Key West, erasing the cruise ban, allowing cruise ships to continue to visit Key West. But unlike the previous story, Jim Boyd's bill taking the long route, so passed in the Senate, and then it went over to the House of Representatives in Florida. And as I reported a few days ago, the sponsors of that bill in the House of Representatives said that, look, it's dead. It's not going to happen. We're not going to overturn the ban of cruise ships in Key West. That all changed yesterday. The original standalone bill, SB 426, died in the House of Representatives. This was the bill brought forth by Jim Boyd in the Senate. However, another bill was making its way through the Congress at the same time. This is SB 1194, the transportation bill. Favorable in both the Senate and in the House. And so interestingly, after the standalone bill died in the House, Senator Jim Boyd was able to work with the sponsor of this transportation bill. Senator Jim Boyd able to add language to the transportation bill that would essentially overturn the cruise ban in Key West, Florida. It passed the Senate, it passed the House, and the only thing left for that bill to become law is to be signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis, which most people think he will sign that. So 2 days ago, I told you that the cruise ban in Key West would stand. Well, nope. It looks like the cruise ban in Key West will be overturned. Just goes to show you politics, U.S. politics, lawmaking. It's a complicated process, and I guess there's a lot of ways to get things done. That's your cruise news. Thank you so much for watching the show. Please show your support by hitting the like button. This is Tony with Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.